In the late 1600s in England and Wales, window tax was introduced by King William III. Obviously, people were not happy with this, so from then on it was considered daylight robbery. In the 17th century in England, pubs and taverns would sometimes get a bit rowdy with everyone drinking, so if this happened, the owner of the pub or tavern would shout, "Mind your P's and Q's," meaning mind your pints and quarts. In the 18th and 19th centuries, mattresses were held on bed frames using a woven rope design which regularly needed tightening, hence the saying, "sleep tight." During the 1800s, people were often buried alive, so due to this, all coffins were fitted with string attached to a bell that could be rung if whoever was buried was not actually dead, so these people were quite literally saved by the bell. During the 18th century, under common law, a man could legally punish his partner with force using a stick, but the stick must be no thicker than his thumb, hence the saying, "rule of thumb." In the Old West, they used bits of currency with 8 bits totaling $1, and throughout time a little bit became known as a small amount. It is an old tradition for godparents to gift a silver spoon to a christened child. However, not everybody was able to afford this luxury gift, but those who could were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. In the horrible days before painkillers were a thing, surgery was a lot more brutal, and during war, when soldiers were wounded and had to be operated on, they were given a bullet to bite down on, so they had to bite the bullet. During battle, warships would use multiple flags to confuse the enemy. However, warfare rules dictated that every ship must show its true flag before firing, so they had to show their true colors. In the 1800s, when you were no longer welcome at a dinner party, the host might serve you cold meat from pork or beef shoulder, so by doing this they would give you the cold shoulder. During the Victorian era, the lowest form of accommodation was access to a rope that you could hang over to sleep after being drunk. The people who did this were hung over. In the 15th century in Scotland, criminals who were caught during the crime with blood on their hands were caught red-handed. West era, carriage drivers would often bring someone along to sit next to them as security, and they usually carried a shotgun. Hence the reason why we call shotgun when we want to sit in the passenger seat of a vehicle. Also in the Wild West era, when a man was low on cash, he would offer the bartender a bullet in exchange for a small drink, which was usually whiskey, so this became known as a shot of whiskey. In medieval times, it was widely believed that a full moon could cause strange behaviors in individuals, so when a person's behavior changed during a full moon, they were considered a lunatic, which originated from the Latin word for moon, which is luna. In the 1500s, it was popular for people to sell piglets at the market in little bags. Sometimes the sellers would replace the piglet with a less valuable cat, but often shoppers would ask to see inside the bag before buying, to make sure it was not a scam, and if it was, they quite literally let the cat out the bag. In the 19th century, public sports such as boxing or racing were often started by someone dropping a hat. This required participants to be ready, which later led to the phrase, "at the drop of a hat."
Phrases we still use today and where they originated from. In ancient times, a cunning physician would prescribe his patients bitter and unpleasant remedies, claiming they were effective cures. However, when he himself fell ill, he had to take the same unpleasant treatments he had given to others, experiencing firsthand the discomfort he had inflicted. This ironic situation highlighted the notion of facing the consequences of one's actions. Thus, the phrase, "taste of your own medicine," came to mean experiencing the same unpleasantness that one has inflicted on others. In 19th century America, a common practice among boys looking to provoke a fight was to place a small wooden chip on their shoulder and challenge others to knock it off. This act demonstrated readiness for confrontation and displayed a sense of grievance or defiance. The visual of someone carrying a chip on their shoulder came to symbolize holding on to a grudge or feeling easily provoked. Thus, the phrase "chip on your shoulder" came to describe someone who is resentful and looking for a fight or argument. In 16th century England, it was common to offer a small coin to someone who appeared deep in thought, as a way of encouraging them to share what was on their mind. This token gesture recognized the value of a person's inner reflections and invited them to reveal their contemplations. The modest offer of a penny highlighted the notion of paying for someone's musings, thus the phrase, "a penny for your thoughts."